Hello to you all, and welcome to Pyramid Energy. I just came out of doing a members reading, and I went to wash my hands just to clear that energy to start this reading. And what I heard is, don't drown in the uncertainty, uplift yourself. And so I'm speaking to someone who is so consumed by other people's stuff, that's how it's being put to me, that they are forgetting about or missing the opportunity that they have to uplift themselves. And they're also wanting me to point out to you how easy things are for you in this space, and that the kind of effort that this other people's stuff asks of you is at such a different level to the kind of effort it would take to uplift yourself. And so what I'm seeing is someone who is mentally consumed by these other people's stuff. That's what they keep calling it. As if they're saying, don't forget yourself. And they don't want to drill down on what other people's stuff means. They're saying, you know exactly what that is. They're saying, we're calling it other people's stuff because that's exactly what it is. This is not your stuff. They're not saying remove yourself. And they also they're changing the pace of, like, the tempo of my speech each time. It's interesting to observe. Sorry. They're saying that they're not saying to extract yourself. They're saying just remember yourself, because the things that it takes you to take care of yourself, it's not the same as the stuff it takes for you to take care of these other people. It's other people's stuff. Your stuff is easy. So don't forget to do your stuff, because the purpose of your stuff is to uplift you. They're also showing me a symbiotic relationship between the role you play in other people's stuff and the role you play in your own stuff. Symbiotic meaning, I give you, you give me. So rather than a parasite, one system to another system chowing the other system instead of these systems helping each other, symbiosis is more around both systems help each other. They give and take from each other. And so this is not that basic, because we're talking about you and you, but we're talking about your role in this place and your role in that place, and how your role in your place is feeding your role in the other place, and the role in the other place is feeding your role in, the other. Do you get me? It was getting very murky and blurry as I was trying to explain the words, but I feel like this is the nature of how things are starting to feel for you, to the point where you sort of not totally lost the plot, but you in this somewhat survival mode have neglected yourself and your priorities. Let's call them that, your priorities. And sort of this whole thing has blurred your vision in terms of how to show up for yourself. I really want this message to come across, and so I'm going to explain it in a different way. The kind of effort you're putting into this place with other people's stuff is taking over your ability to remember how easy your stuff is, and so to attend to it. Because it doesn't ask a lot of you, and also helps for you not to be consumed by this other stuff. So you can apply yourself to other people's stuff and also uplift yourself all at the same time. Both these people and playing both these roles is a good thing, is what they're trying to say. They're saying that this will also adjust your perspective as you deal with other people's stuff. Okay, it's going to actually lift a burden off you. Okay, the way you regard it and the way you uplift yourself. Because the way they were showing me is like, they said, don't drown in the uncertainty, uplift yourself. And the way they said uplift yourself sounds very encouraging and very simple and quite easy compared to the contrast of this don't drown in other people's stuff, okay? And in uncertainty. So they kind of showing me the swings and roundabouts sort of thing, okay? What's also happening right now in this container is my hesitation, me stumbling upon my words. They're talking about your stuff that you have that's easy, providing a lot of grounding for you and a lot of stability for you. And so they're almost showing me also this yin and yang figure, this yin and yang shape and how it's changing, and sort of the swings and roundabouts analogy is sort of sometimes the black of the yin and yang sort of gets bigger and takes up the white space, and then the white space gets bigger and takes up so they're saying that you're going through like a transformation and a rebalancing and a growth. And so they're saying to remember yourself. Keep remembering yourself. Don't allow one aspect of this yin and yang to grow so large that you are not tending to the other side that is lighter and that allows for the whole to transform. They showed me the 10 of Wands with Justice. And what these cards are saying to me together is you actually cannot see how much things are coming into balance in your life. Okay? If you are still with me and this message resonates, then please stay with me. But if at this point of the reading, this is not resonating, feel free to listen, but please don't assume anything is yours then. Okay? At this point, we know who we're talking to. Okay? They're saying that because so much is going on, you're unaware that you have completely entered your stability period of your life. You have totally, they're saying, darling, you are in there. And it's perspective that is skewing your view. They're saying that you're in an expansion phase of your life. This is a good feeling I'm getting. It's adding a weird feeling to my back, as if my body was getting used to this heavy back balance. I don't even know what I'm saying right now because those words don't sound like they make sense. And what was coming up for me as I said those words was I heard back balance, but I also heard bank balance, heavy. I can't ignore this. I'm in too deep. It's as if your bank balance felt heavy, but not in the right, it doesn't feel heavy in the right way. We're not talking about numbers here. We're talking about the dynamics of money in your life. We're talking about you got used to that heaviness on your back with regards to money. They're getting very particular now. And they're saying that that weight off your back has lifted. It's actually lifted, and it's a strange feeling because reality hasn't completely reconfigured itself to show this to you. But they're saying all of the indications are there. You know exactly what we're talking about. And they're saying it's time to change your posture because they actually they were speaking to me through this weight on my back, not my bank, on my back. And they're saying change your posture. Okay. It's changed. It's changed. So the dynamic that was playing out in terms of your finances has changed. And they want me to make this very clear to you because you've been, you're in that non-attachment sort of phase of manifestation. And they're saying one of the things that happens there is that we go through this, process of trying to detach and then being unable to detach and then obsessing and then not being able to unobsess and then finding non-attachment. And in the non-attachment, there's such a peaceful sound and you just relieved that you're no longer fixated on either the detachment or the obsession, and you're just in this non-attachment. And they're saying it's so quiet in the space that sometimes you don't notice when the penny drops. That's how they put it. And you know, it's interesting because the penny dropping is actually usually a phrase we use when we're referring to information dropping, whereas this penny, I'm seeing it, I saw it as a penny dropping. I saw it as money dropping in. They could not have prepared me for this reading, because these types of readings do make me shy, but we're here, I'm in too deep. As I flashed through the cards, I saw the Magician, I saw the Wheel of Fortune, and I saw the Two of Wands. This is an evolution happening in your life. This is your way of manifesting is now, you know what I'm seeing? Someone put something in and get something out, and put something in and get something out. This came up sort of in a personal reading recently, but it's like, I'm seeing you creating a type of momentum in your life through choices. And so they're speaking to this in the sense of like what I mentioned earlier around how you're applying yourself. Balance how you apply yourself. Don't forget this. There's this like new pathway that's been created. And what they're showing me is that what often happens when we talk about a new pathway is that we think that we are being redirected from this pathway to that pathway. And they're saying, no, we have opened up a new pathway that you will walk. You carry on walking the road you've been walking, but there's this new pathway that you are walking concurrently. So they're showing me you walk, the same individual walking down different paths. It's as if you've doubled your capacity. That's actually what they're showing me. They're showing me someone who, for a long time, life was lived in a linear way where it's like one pathway, one road, one direction. Of course, there's one of you, but actually there are more of you than that, which is why they want you to understand that this new pathway is easy and can literally happen in the background and is probably the most important aspect of your life that felt stuck for some time. But they're saying, look, you actually can be in two places at the same time. You've built up your capacity. They're speaking to me in the sense of like your energy dynamics, how you apply your energy, how you show up in the world at the same time as showing up for yourself. They're just showing me this, not just multifaceted individual, the stuttering, but they're showing me an individual that's able to open new pathways. And they're saying this is not the only pathway you're going to be running alongside yourself and your life. They just want you to be able to see how these pathways are created. Okay. And they're taking me back to some things that I've said, how you recognize when a new pathway has been created, how sometimes it's hard to recognize. They're showing me how when you're dealing with certain things in your life a certain way, how you can get used to the feeling and the heaviness being that way to the point where you wake up in the morning and you assume it's going to be that way, and then you've actually missed that it's no longer that way. Same thing, different day. Same thing, different way. Same thing, different feeling. Okay, they're showing me that it's the same thing, but it is you're operating through it and with it differently to before. Okay, it's become second nature is what they're saying. That's exactly it. So you have more than one nature. Okay, there's a nature with which you show up in the world. You have more than one nature. And so to nurture all these natures, that's what they're saying. You know what they showed me? I paused there to just let this picture fully play out. But that little phrase that I just shared, to nurture, your nature, and that you have more than one nature, they're showing me like how a tree grows. Okay? Each leaf is its own leaf, but it's like this is how a tree grows. They're showing me like a tree and how it's got different branches, yet it's still one tree. Okay? This is sort of what they're showing me. I'm going to leave that there. They showed me the 10 of Wands again and Justice. This also came up in the personal reading, the Justice card. And what they want me to show you here is through the lifting of these burdens, let's now call it a perceived burden because it's no longer real. It's just been there because it was there. But if you shift your perspective and recognize that that's no longer there, that sort of makes you a lighter being. And that's what's going to open up other pathways of other things that are more dense, other structures that feel like they're not moving, not changing, things that concern you, things that worry you. Those pathways will start being created as you recognize that this burden has lifted. So this is very much reliant on your perception. This reading is very much around rebalancing your perspective and your perception. Because every time you act on a belief, let's say that you had to exist off yesterday, even when the circumstances are allowing for a shift, if you project yesterday's feeling and yesterday's circumstances on today's circumstances, you recreate yesterday. That's what they're showing me. And so, yes, some of these things look dense, but look how this new pathway was created. You actually don't know this one that's second nature to you. You don't know how quickly it can expand. You don't know. But if you just lift that, allow that feeling on your back of carrying the weight of the world on your back, if you can just allow that to shed, allow yourself to shed that, you'll recognize that you've already taken off, and you'll allow these other new little pathways to sort of reveal themselves. Okay? They're also showing me this shift from the year of this Chinese year. What is it again last year? Was it the year of the snake? I think I'm right. Let's check. Yes, I was remembering correctly. They showed me that shift transition into the year of the fire horse. And they very much are talking about this fire energy, which is, blowing things up and everything's burning and all the chaos and all the changes. But fire is about transformation. And they're showing me a lot of shedding that's been happening. And they're saying we're dealing with the remnants of what you're shedding, but the fire horse is already taken off. So your chariot, and I saw the chariot card, you're already on the way. But if you could just recognize some of the baggage that you're still carrying that you no longer need, this horse is going to move much faster in a much more swift way. They showed me the Knight of Swords as well. And they're saying that there's a lot of information that's trying to reach you, that's ready to reach you. However, at the moment, it's just queuing because you're carrying too much to be able to receive this information. You see, what happens is that the information's actually already reached you, but the clarity hasn't because it's foggy where you're standing. So if you lift this weight of the stuff you don't need anymore, if you just lift it, the information clarifies. Boom, new pathway or clearer pathway. Okay, so this reading is very much about clearing up fog. They're also showing me, and I saw the sun, okay, and I'm seeing a lot of repeat cards. What they're showing me is there's something that you learned in the last year, let's call it, that you need to remember as you move through this time. There was a time where, as you were manifesting, you would expect for things to play out, happen the way you have predicted. And so you had an end goal and you would try to predict the path. And they want you to look at yourself now compared to then and how certain things have worked out and how that sort of effort to predict the pathway, each step, that effort it was just effort because things didn't turn out or roll out the way you predicted. The outcome, yes, resembles what was predicted, but the pathway, is partially unpredictable. And so they're saying to save your effort. To save your effort and not just that, to not project so much onto the pathway so that it can reveal itself. It's almost like when you're pregnant, if anyone has the ability, or gender 2 for pregnant, whatever it is, okay? Let's say a pregnant person tries to predict what the baby is going to look like and tries to predict what the baby will look like as an adult. They're saying that's just effort. And it's like, maybe it's fun, maybe it's stressful, but they're saying that effort is not necessary because you don't know that. What you know partially is that you will have a child. Again, partially. You know that you'll have a child. You know that this child is meant to grow up and become an adult. How the pathway looks, you cannot determine yourself. They're saying lift that focus that you've dedicated to, that aspect of manifesting. Lift it. Doesn't belong there. Doesn't belong on your back. Please make way. There's a lot of information we want to share, and we're needing you to change your posture in order to receive. I'm going to leave this message here. Thank you so much for being with me, for these messages, for receiving them, for working with me in creating them. I appreciate you all so much. Sending you all so much love.